realestate.com. I established that website back in 2007, 8 or 8. And I want to describe to you the difference between underwater and upside down. Now, I realize the term's been used synonymously in the industry. When I first got out of law school in 91, I was working in a firm that did bankruptcy. I was actually working and going to trial defending real estate brokers who were doing second trust deeds. But the issues came up often enough that the bankruptcy guys and the lawyers that have been around for a while described upside down properties as properties that were worth less than they owed. They weren't really making a distinction between, they could sell the property for less than they owed. So these people were worried about going negative. They were coming in for bankruptcy consults. They were looking for lien stripping. And the term they all used was upside down. And we learned the idea that the very worst thing that could be happening is if a seller had a recourse second loan, they allowed a foreclosure on the first, and then they would let that second loan be a sold out junior, which may have been part of the reason why we have zombie debt days, because the right thing to do for most people then is to pay the first and just let the second sit. And if they're not willing to negotiate, they just sit. And nowadays they might be zombies. But that's what was going on then. So upside down was the word, and I'd never heard underwater. Then in the last market, I'd say upside down started. My website was like #1 in the country for all these terms. Yahoo cited it, and the terms were upside down. But I think people wanted to get away from my brand name of upside down, so they started adopting underwater. Underwater, upside down, fine. I don't mind either way. But I would like to conceptually change the norm again back to the following. Upside down is when you can sell your property for less than you owe your lenders. And we can include taxes. So it's things that you're not going to change unless you negotiate a compromise with them. So you're upside down when if you sell your property, you're not going to be able to pay the liens off on the property. Now, for the rest, I would call underwater. This is just because it's a proper way, I think, to look at it. So you want to avoid going upside down. If you're underwater, you might be able to negotiate your way out without dealing with the people who have liens on your property. And that would be by, let's say, the biggest component of underwater that I can think of right now would be 5 or 6% real estate commissions, 2.5 to 3 for your listing agent, 2.5 or 3 for your buyer. Those that scenario. So underwater is almost like voluntary. You're like, I could sell my property, but I want to hire my favorite realtor who doesn't want to give me a break. So I'm underwater. What can I do? Well, the obvious thing to all of you is that you can set up a situation where your realtor will agree to sell your home without you having to go negative. And that works for the realtors too, because they can sell the property faster instead of not knowing if a short sale is going to happen, instead of having, and you don't have to be negative on your short sales if you have a lawyer leveraging it. You might still have to be, but we got short sales. We got deed and loose done while people were current, and we negotiated for what the final remark was, and it's possible to save yourself in the scenario without credit damage. It's not easy. I can't guarantee it, but with our long foreclosure timelines, it can be done. But what I'm saying is that, like, you have control over this. You should set up your agreements with your realtors so that they make sure that what they've negotiated will not cause you to go under. It will not cause you to go short. And I can tell you the easiest way to do it, rather than saying, "Oh, I didn't understand. It was too much for me." You just say, "Look, you're going to sign this agreement, and I'm going to write in. I can cancel with any time with 24 hours to notice to you that I'm going to send you a text." That would be, if you don't want to bring a lawyer into the picture, that to me would be a very good deal. And you would do that, and you'd say, before I sign that buyer agent commission agreement, I want the net sheet from escrow. I want them to have done all the work on my property, and I want you to tell me that if I pay that much in buyer agent commissions and those other expenses, I will still have a net above zero. Like, no lawyer, you can do it. I'm fine for those of you who love your realtor and you're like, I want them to get paid, and I just hate lawyers, or I don't want a lawyer on my team. That's how I would do it with an underwater property without doing things in a more complicated manner. Of course, the problem becomes what if your realtor's working for 1%, but the buyer agent still wants 2.5 or 3. Now what do you do? And at that stage, I'm going to tell you, you're going to want an attorney because you're going to want to bifurcate this contract. You're going to want to negotiate price and terms with the buyer and get them up to where the max you can. And then you come back in the second contract and say, well, we were willing to offer you 3% if you had done the deals on our terms, but we can't. And the only way we can get this done now is X. And so that's your counter strategy. Realtors cannot do that. That would unquestionably practicing law without a license under the Sipper case, in my experience. And frankly, how do they write that second contract up? How do they negotiate in a second contract? Do they make it an addendum? Do they make it concurrent? Do they make one condition precedent? I don't think they have any idea how to do that. But that's how you would absolutely have to do it. So to find out more, find out your scenarios to make sure you don't go under, you don't go upside down because of your realtor commissions. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. If you're seeing this on Facebook, just type in strategy session or consult or call, and we'll follow up. I will follow up, and we will set up a time and talk about your options. I'm a real estate broker and attorney. My website's upsidedownrealestate.com. And I'm saying if you can avoid a short sale with a realtor, you absolutely should. There are better results. And one of them, the easiest result is just don't go negative. Talk to you later. Thank you.